Welcome to the channel. My name's Ian, and today I'm going to test out some more new discs I bought. I still can't control myself when it comes to buying new discs, and there's still a few slots in my bag that I don't have filled right now, and I'm trying to figure out what to fill them with. Starting off, got the PA5 from Prodigy in 400 plastic. This is the player I putt with. I used to have one in 300, but it got super beaten and was way too flippy and was not controllable unless you put an extreme amount of hyzer on it. So excited to try this. This is what I'm going to be playing with all day. Since it's the same as my playing putter, just in a different plastic, hopefully I'll actually putt well this time. Next, I've got the Westside Disc Tersis in VIP plastic. The fuse did not turn as much as I wanted it to, and I just was looking for a slightly more understable mid-range to fill my understable mid-range slot, because I like to be able to just release it flat and have it just glide to the left, and then like maybe not really have much fade out of it. Next, I got an Innova Sidewinder Champion plastic. I already bagged one of these, and really the only reason I bought this was because this die was super sick. Shout out to Hazy Shade for having some pretty cool dies here and there. And so we're going to see how a new Champion Sidewinder flies, because my old one's pretty beaten. So we'll see how different it is, because that's what I plan on replacing it with. Next, we got this cool stamped Z Undertaker from Discraft. The stamp is from a tournament I just played, and I had to get the stamp because just you gotta get the stamped disc to remember your tournaments, because why else? Next, also got a Champion T-Bird from the same tournament, because I have been looking into maybe buying a T-Bird anyway, and this stamp is pretty cool. I know it's just pretty much close to an Undertaker, but the tournament had very few options on discs, and my options were pretty much Undertaker, Buzz, Challenger, or Thrasher, and didn't really want any of those except for maybe Undertaker, because I know Palmer Betsy still up through. So we'll see how I do with these. Next, I got a Discmania Active Premium Astronaut. I wanted something super flippy in my distance driver slot, because I haven't found something that I really like how it turns, except for maybe my Havoc, but it has a little bit more fade than I want to for this slot. So I wanted to try something just super understable for my distance drivers, and this is probably the best distance driver to start out throwing when you're just starting to get into distance drivers and have a lower arm speed, just because of how understable it is and it doesn't have much fade. So I'm excited to see just how flippy it is. And finally, I got a new something ethereal Synapse. It's not just an ethereal plastic. It's the Neural Ethereal, I think, from Synapse from Thought Space Discs. Full transparency. Have thrown this a few times earlier today, just because there was a pretty big headwind earlier, and I bought this disc solely for a stable distance driver slot, because all my distance drivers right now are too flippy, and none of them are workable in a headwind. So I wanted to make sure this was actually usable in a headwind, because if not, I would have ran out and bought something even more stable than this, or this in just a more stable plastic. So I have thrown this a little bit, but only in pretty big winds. Hopefully the winds aren't as big this time, so I get to see how it flies naturally without wind. But I've only thrown this like 3 or 4 times. I haven't seen too much from it, so it'll still be pretty new to me. But that is all. Hope you guys are excited for this. I'm at Indian Riffle Park again, my home course in Kettering, Ohio. And hopefully I can shoot better than last time I did this, because I shot pretty poorly, and I know I'm better than that. So right now we're at hole 1. about 270 feet, just straight through the scab, straight to the basket. Usually I go one of my fairways for this, just because of how the ceiling is. You don't really get much height for a minute. So I'm gonna try out this Undertaker, because it's still kind of windy right now, and there's slight tailwind, so hopefully this will not fade out too early, and I can get pretty close to the basket. That slipped a little bit. Yeah, you can see the wind just looked that up. That's a little short, but that should be within circle one or so, so I'm pretty happy with that. Could have been a lot worse. Could have been a lot better. It definitely had a little bit of turn to it, I could see, but that's a pretty interesting driver. Alright, so I landed about 20 feet short, I think. Luckily a wide open shot. It's a little bit better than I expected. I will be holding one of my regular putting putters, just because I like to hold two putters when I putt. So I won't actually use it. I'll be putting with the 400 plastic one, but just so none of you guys get angry. Oh, too much, yeah. That was way too high. Just preface, haven't practiced putting because I never practiced putting before rounds when there's no practice basket around. So that's my excuse for this putt, at least. Hopefully I don't have to use that excuse for many more putts today. This definitely feels at least better than the last time I did this challenge, because, like, other than the plastic being a little different and weird to me, at least it's like my regular putting putter, so I don't have to, like, I don't know, it feels pretty similar. It feels the same in hand, aside from just different plastics. Alright, hole 2, par 3, 147 feet, just straight from the tee in that group of trees. You can't really see it from the camera because it's kind of hard to tell where the basket is from the tee. Usually I like to throw an overstable putter on an anhyzer, like straight at the trees, and just have it flex to the left and then crash in. Unfortunately, only putter I have is a super understable one. So instead, I'm going to just try and hyzer it, have it push on hyzer, just straight to the left of the tree, and hope I don't hit first available here on the left. Oh gosh. I did not commit to that shot, and thank God there's no OB here, because that should have been OB. I'm not sure if I rolled my wrist or not, but I flipped up the flat pretty quickly, and definitely should have had to put more hyzer. Oh gosh. Yeah, trees definitely got in my head. Should have just done back in the trees, or yeah, I was way too close to trying that forehand, so I'm trying to just throw it in the ground. I'm just gonna try and step put this in. Hopefully the headwind doesn't take it too much, but this is a really bad hole, I promise. Alright, I just got it through the gap. That's all I really cared about. I didn't really expect to make that. So just from those two putts alone, and that third one, this definitely feels a lot better than when I was trying to putt with the Sky God 4 or the Glitch. It does not feel so unnatural to me like it did last time. So, you know, hopefully when I actually get to inside the circle, now that I've practiced a little bit, I'll make my putts. Alright, hole 3, 260 feet, par 3, slightly uphill. I can't really see the basket from the tee, but it's towards the right side of the fairway, behind some trees. Usually I go with a stable to overstable fairway and try and basically just throw it into the group of trees and hope for the best. After shaking a couple times, I've realized that the line probably now is to get left of the group of trees and just hyzer it into the basket. So that's what I'm going to try and do with my T-Bird and see just how stable it is. There is a slight tailwind, I think. It's been kind of swirly, but right now it feels like tailwind, so hopefully it helps push forward. Too low. Ah! So because my tree hits are always lucky, Kicked right where the basket is right behind the tree right in front of me. So gonna have to just step out, straddle it. It was probably about circle's edge for I think, maybe a little bit shorter. Don't usually straddle putt, so. Oh, that's way too high. As you can see, don't have much practice straddle putting. Putt wasn't too bad, didn't skip too far away. Save bogey. Hole 4, 251, par 3. Gonna go with the P85 again. Usually I throw something slightly more stable than this, so I'm gonna try and play on a slight bit of hyzer because the basket's just slightly to the left from the middle of the fairway, and I usually just throw it through this line and have it just slowly turn into the basket. So I gotta put a little bit of hyzer on this from what I've seen so far from it to make sure it doesn't turn way too early. So I missed the gap that I was going for. So made it to circle 2 at least, which isn't too bad. Just gonna have to step this, and I got to scare the headwind. All right, hole 5, 246 feet, par 3. There's a straight gap to the basket on this right side, but I usually like to go left of this first middle tree and just have it hyzer out to the basket. For that shot, I usually throw a more stable to overstable mid-range. So I'm just gonna have to put this Tursus on a lot of hyzer and see how much it wants to flip up, and hope that it doesn't turn over too early because I just don't want to be very far left. This course got a lot of rain recently, and so it's apparently super muddy over there at the front of the key pad. Alright, so now that I'm in a fresh coat of mud from that slip, as you can see, best line is this small line to the basket. I'm like 100 feet out maybe. Smart play would probably just go for a touch forehand to the left into this gap, just to lay up to the basket, but I don't trust my touch forehand right now, so I'm going to attempt to step putt through the gap and hopefully not hit a tree and land somewhere close to the basket. I'm not even trying to make this, I'm trying to lay up. Oh, pulled it, but I'm like within 15 feet, but I'm like in an awkward position between a log and a tree. So I actually surprisingly landed here in a practice round a couple days ago, and I tried everything, and what worked out the best for me was actually just throwing a scuba right into the basket. So that's what I'm gonna have to do. Hole 6, 230 feet, just straight ahead on the side of that hill. After kind of blowing up in that last hole after my slip, I'm really just gonna try and reset here and really just get back to a neutral mental state. Just act like it's a fresh round. So that's what I'm gonna do. Gonna throw my Tursus. Hopefully actually see a fly out of it. Just gonna ride the right and just have it turn into the basket. Hopefully, there is a bit of a tailwind, so I don't know how much that's going to affect how it flies, but hopefully I can account for that. Oh my god, I yanked it. But I got through all the trees on the left. So I'm left. I'm probably inside the circle, a little bit short. But so I'm about 20 feet from the basket. Pretty straight putt. There's still a slight right to left crosswind, which is probably gonna get in my head, but hopefully it doesn't. Yes, got birdie. Finally, turn this round around. That is not the best English, but I'm doing it. So hole 7, 266 feet from the tee. But as you can see, I'm not at the usual tee. Like I said before, it This place got a good amount of rain recently, and hole 7 likes to get its tee flooded often when there's rain, even when there's light rain. So I'm not gonna go try and step in water, especially since I just saw what happened when I stepped in mud. So I just moved out. Still plays about 270 feet, just downhill now since I'm perched up. Gonna go with my Synapse, because I'm not really sure what the wind's doing right now, but I know it's there because it's being really swirly. And I'm just gonna try and get on Anheuser and have it fight back and crash into the basket. Definitely didn't get as good of a rip on it as I wanted. Yeah, landed about at least 50 short, I think. I know I'm within circle 2. I thought from the tee, I'm about 50 out. Definitely could have been better, but definitely could have been worse. Just gonna step out the PA5 again. And I still haven't practiced my step putts from the last time I did this challenge, so still not getting enough spin on them. But luckily, this hole plays par 4, which I probably forgot to mention off the tee, and because I desperately need it right now, still gonna play it like that. So I was wrong. Last hole was par 3. I confused it because I wish it was a par 4. So got even there, but that's all right. Hole 8, 389 feet, par 4. This one's definitely a par 4 because there's a little bit of a tailwind. I'm gonna just force on Anheuser to the left and see when its stability kicks in or how much it kicks in, and hopefully don't land way too far left. Pulled it a little bit, but yeah, that's stable. Oh wow, hit that dirt. So got a kick from what I thought was a tree dirt stump, but it was actually a tree stump in disguise. So kicked that up a little bit more to about circle 2 edge. There is still a bit of a left to right headwind, but luckily my putts release on an extreme amount of hyzer when I try and step putt. So hopefully I at least get close to the basket to guarantee birdie. But I'm gonna run the eagle. Oh, yep. All right, let's start the birdie train. Come on, let's go. Hole 9, par 3, 322 feet. Just straight up this hill on the left side right here. I'm going to go with my Astronaut. There is probably about at least 10-mile-per-hour tailwind that's blowing left to right because I'm going to just try and aim it out right and have it come back left. My goal is to just not hit anything on this left side of the basket. Keep turning, keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. Oh, yeah. You can see with my slower arm speed that it definitely wanted to turn more, but I just didn't get enough speed on it. And plus, with the heavier tailwind, it just didn't want to turn as much as I wanted it to turn. So I am pretty close to that 300 mark. I might not have gotten it, but this is definitely the furthest I've ever thrown this hole. For any of you slower arm speeds that are just desperately wanting to throw a distance driver, you do you, grab whatever disc you want, but I'm definitely going to recommend that Astronaut for it. So just go lay up with this PA5 on a forehand. Hopefully I don't turn it over and make it a super long putt for par. Oh my god. So as unfortunate as it is, I threw my shot and then the wind gusted and turned it all the way over. So hopefully I can make this putt for par, but we'll see. And that's a foot fault, so not going to count the foot fault because don't really care. But hole 10, par 4, 385 feet. Go with the Synapse because that's what I bought this disc for, is for these longer headwind holes because there's a gusting headwind that I'm dealing with right now. And basically I'm going to actually rip on Anheuser this time, or going to try harder at rip on Anheuser this time, and try to just flex it through the gap of the trees and just have it come fade back towards the basket. There is quite a headwind, so we'll see how this works. Usually I would prefer to throw new discs in no wind and then use my knowledge of how the wind affects discs to predict how they're going to throw in wind. But didn't really have time to film this video when there was no wind, and I didn't want to wait a week to throw these discs because I already waited like a few days to throw these discs to make this video. So, too low, slipped out, didn't get anhyzer on it. Bright side, that she's stable. Headwind didn't turn over at all, which is what I was looking for in the disc. Again, didn't get up to speed because it slipped out, but it didn't turn over, and every single one of my other distance drivers would have turned over and probably burned. So that's a win for me. So landed about 100 feet short, I think, because the further tree is about 250 from the tee, so about 100 is short. Gonna go with my PA5, and because it's being a left to right headwind, I'm going to throw the backhand and have it turn towards the basket so that the wind doesn't affect it too much. I threw that a bit low, but I was just afraid of throwing it way too high and having the wind take it really early and just get so far left. So I was trying to get under the wind, so I'm a little short, but I'm definitely glad I at least put a little bit of hyzer on that, because if I didn't, that would have definitely turned and burned and left me with a pretty long putt for birdie. Okay, so luckily within about 10 feet, so it should be tap in range and get the birdie. Oh, that was really high. Should have taken more time on that, because I definitely rushed that and it showed. But got the birdie. Hole 11, 306 feet, par 3, just straight there over the slope downhill. Usually I try to go left of the tree here and have it hyzer into the basket. But I want to try and throw this astronaut again. Still got a tailwind that's a bit right to left, so I'm just gonna this time hit it with anhyzer and hopefully give it enough height to go over the hill and just have it turn to the basket. Gonna be in your face for the first part of this because not much room for this tee pad with how it's angled. So. Oh yeah, keep going, keep going. Oh yes, that's a bit short, but that is definitely the best I've ever done this hole. I'm so glad I put anhyzer on that. Holy crap. I definitely could have put a little bit more power into it, but I'm having not the best form day. Alright, so unfortunately I didn't quite make it to circle one. I'm about 5 feet outside of circle one. Only reason I know that is because I really wanted to walk this out just to see how close I was. So, with the tailwind, I don't think I'm going to step putt this. I think I'm just going to treat it normally because that's what I usually do when I'm like this close to circle's edge. But I really just need to make sure I put spin on it and give it enough height for when the tailwind drops it. Because this would be the second time I've birdied this hole, and the first time was a throw-in that when I was standing right next to the tree I usually try to go around. Oh gosh, way left. Darn it! Definitely gave that height. I think I gave it enough height too. I think it would just dropped in the basket nicely. But I pulled the putt again, and I really need to practice my putting. Hole 12, 153 feet, just straight at the basket, par 3. Because it's so short, and I don't trust myself powering down on drivers. I'm going to try the PA3 or PA5. All right, like I said, PA5. I'm actually going to do it on a forehand because it's a right to left tailwind. And I don't trust myself to put this on enough hyzer to not flip all the way up. And if the wind gets under this, it's going to take it way left. So I'm going to try to forehand this and have it turn to the basket. We'll see how well this goes because I don't have much beforehand, but I'm going to try. Oh, turn it over too much. Roll far. Yeah, I don't have a forehand. I have to throw something pretty overstable in order to not do that every time. So I don't know how to forehand understable discs. I don't know why, because it should be similar to throwing frisbee, but all right. So I'm not really sure if I'm even in circle two, which is really hard for this hole, but I'm gonna step in and try run it and see what happens. All right. Well, at least I didn't pull it that time. But hole 13, 362-foot par four. You basically just need to go straight through those trees, and then the basket's off a little bit to the right. Because I'm having a really bad form day, and I don't think I can get that synapse up to speed right now. I'm gonna go with the Undertaker because I feel slight tailwind. I'm not sure how much of these trees are actually gonna protect me from the tailwind because I got a bunch of trees behind me as well. But hopefully it works out. I'm hopefully not gonna hyzer it out too early into all there because all there is death. Oh gosh. So looking from here, it doesn't look like I have any chance of actually getting a good shot out. So I'm gonna do the smart thing, and I'm just gonna pitch out and hopefully give myself a good enough look to at least get a good shot to the pin and hopefully save par. So gonna have to approach with the PA5 again. I again will say this is a lot harder when you don't have something overstable to approach with, because this is not ideal. Just gonna give it a slight backhand. Still got a pretty gusty tailwind, so hopefully it allows it to be stable enough to not turn into trees too early, and hopefully I can get close enough to the basket to make a putt for par. Oh my god, it slipped out. All right, so I'm just gonna forehand this because I think that's the best option here. Don't have to give it much distance for the forehand, which is why I'm pulling it out. Hopefully I can get close enough to the basket to save bogey now, because I'm definitely not making this for par. Oh my god. So just gonna try and put this in. Still got the tailwind. Don't want the double bogey. Hopefully I make this. There we go. At least I can putt today. Hole 14, 245 feet, par 3. Uh, just straight at the basket. You don't want to go right. It's pretty much death over there. Gonna throw my new sidewinder this time. See how understable she is, because I'm hoping worst case scenario that it's flies really understable and I just end up pretty left, because I'd rather be left than right, and I don't want to get right at all. So hopefully this isn't too understable, but hopefully it's not for some reason pretty stable for a sidewinder. Oh my god, that's so stable. Like, I definitely put that on a slight bit of hyzer, and I still have the tailwind, but like, that's a sidewinder. So fortunately, I'm pretty in line with the pin. I'm like technically a little bit short, uh, but like I'm within 10, maybe 15 feet, which is better than I thought off the tee. I thought it was pretty short off the tee, but I guess the tailwind did help a little bit more than I thought it would. Yes, got another birdie. Things are turning around. So hole 15, 321 feet, just straight there, par 3. Gotta throw the sidewinder again, just over this creek and hopefully turn it into the basket. Still got a slight tailwind, but it's more of a left to right crosswind at this point. I think this should be more understable than what was previously shown, so I just want to throw it again just to see if my suspicions are true. Oh. So, like I thought, I'm probably about 15 to 20 short in terms of length to the basket, but I'm definitely within circle 2, probably edge of circle 2. I'm got a tailwind, so I'm gonna give this a bid, but I'm also gonna give it a pretty soft bid to make sure it doesn't go in the creek or hit hard and roll in the creek. I just don't want to go in the creek.
Oh! I just gave it a little too much hype, but I finally put spin on it. I finally put power behind that step putt. Hole 16, 273 feet, par 3. I'm going to just try and go straight through the gap, straight to the pin with my T-Bird because I don't think I've thrown it yet. Or if I have, I've only done it once, I think, and I'm running out of holes to throw it. So I've got a slight headwind. I'm hoping this doesn't turn over on me because that's kind of why I wanted a T-Bird in the first place, is so it didn't turn over on me. That's nose up. Yeah, with how quickly that lifted, that's definitely nose up. Like I thought, I'm about at least 100 feet, maybe even 150 out. I'm just gonna step putt my PA5 as just an approach to lay up to the basket because I don't trust myself approaching with this disc right now, especially with the headwind blowing in my face. Yeah, I really focus on spin there, and sometimes when I do that, instead I just I'm focusing so much on my wrist popping that my wrist will pop and then pull my arm with it. So it just went like that. But I don't care. I'm right next to the basket. I saved par. 17, 253 feet. Basket's just straight there. I'm going to go with the T-Bird again because I feel like I represented it very, very badly in this last shot. And I also like to just hydrate around this first tiny little tree and have it just either crash or skip to the basket. And there's still a headwind coming at me, so I want to see if this flips up or not. Oh, well, I kept the nose angle down, but I also threw it way too low. So I could run this maybe, but headwind still, and I'm a little far out, so I'm just gonna pitch it up again. Ooh, that's. I think my depth perception isn't that bad. I'm pretty sure that's only 15 feet, but hopefully that's not a tester in this wind. So I'm at, yeah, I think I'm only like 15 out, so I should be able to make this even though there's a headwind. Just save par. Oh no. Now this is at least within 10 feet, so it's definitely a tap in from here. Hole 18, final hole, 239 feet, par 3. Gotta go with the PA5 because everything else would be way too much disc for this hole. Uh, there is a headwind, so what I'm legitimately thinking about doing is usually you should just go straight for the basket and not really worry about it, but because of the headwind, I'm worried about my disc flipping way too much, way too early. So I'm actually gonna aim for the right side of trees and to counteract how much it flips, and hopefully I don't hit a tree. Too high. Get through. Nope. So I was so worried about my disc turning over that I didn't even count to it being lifted up as much as it did. So hit a tree, unfortunately. Just gotta pitch up for par, and hopefully my pitch up is better this time. Oh no. That's not better. So about 15 feet out again. Hopefully I can make it this time to save par. But still got the headwind and still getting in my head about it. Was able to just tap that in for par or for bogey and just end the day +3, which unfortunately still not as good as I want to be doing at this course, even with brand new discs. But definitely a huge improvement of the last time I did this challenge. And I think I owe that a little bit to my putting being more comfortable, but at the same time, my putting still wasn't as good as I know it can be and I know as it should be. Also, just approaching with an understable disc was a bit rough for me when I don't really approach with understable stuff unless I'm really pinched off or I'm stuck doing a pen pending just because I can't get as much power those ways. But it was still a fun way to learn new discs, and it definitely was a neat opportunity that I if you don't care about your score at all, that I don't see a problem trying. I think it is a really fun thing to do. I definitely plan on continuing this trend every time I buy a bunch more discs, just because it's fun to learn new discs with you, and you guys get to see my genuine reaction of seeing the first flight of these discs. And again, if you care about your score at all and you think that, oh, I just need to buy this new disc and then I can throw on the course and I'll score instantly better, that's definitely not the case. You definitely should take them to the field and learn them, not necessarily inside and out, but learn them pretty well and get comfortable with the disc in your hand before you expect to do any kind of consistent good work at any course. Um, as far as how I feel about each of these discs, I think they're each great for what they do. I think they all can fill a certain slot in a bag, and for the most part, these discs are going into my bag. The PA5 is definitely exactly what I wanted. It was the perfect replacement for my old 300 plastic PA5 that was just unusably flippy. This one had much more stability than that, but still was a really understable option that I was looking for in my putters in that 400 plastic. And so I definitely plan on using that a lot more. And hopefully that will stay at better durability than the last time. My Tursus was I hit that pinpoint of exactly the disc I wanted for that understable mid-range slot. After especially after using it a little bit more, when I release it flat, it just turns left and then doesn't and fights out enough to just land flat. And it was just exactly what I was looking for in that slot. It's definitely more a touch more understable than the Fuse, but it's still not so flippy that when you release it flat, it kind of just turns and holds that turn and kind of hits the ground on a cut angle. It still has a touch of stability there, which is always nice to have. For that Sidewinder, that's probably the one disc that I dislike the most out of all of them. I just cannot understand why that Sidewinder was as stable as it was. Unfortunately, I lost it like 2 days later, so I didn't throw it too much to see if I was just throwing it bad or if it just needed to get beaten even a little bit to become flippy. But that was just super stable. If you're worried about that and you want to throw the Sidewinder, but you don't want to worry about it being too stable out of box, definitely suggest just a different plastic than Champion from Innova. Champion's one of the most stable plastics Innova has, and it definitely shows with that Sidewinder when it has numbers like -3-1, but was dead straight for me, even with a touch more finish than 1, in my opinion. So that was definitely one that averted my expectations the most. And I'm gonna be honest, aside from just not wanting to lose discs, I'm not really disappointed that I lost that one. For The Undertaker, it definitely has a spot in bags. It just doesn't have a spot in my bag personally. I already have that kind of slot filled just with that little bit of flip it has, especially when you throw it on hyzer. It's good for hyzer flips if you want to start learning hyzer flips with your more higher speed fairway control drivers. It's great for that where you can put on a little bit of hyzer, it'll flip up to flat, ride, and then fade out. But that's not what I was really looking for with that kind of driver. I was definitely looking for more of a T-bird flight where it was dead straight and finished right a decent amount, and something that would stay straight in a headwind. And I just don't think I can trust the Undertaker in a headwind, especially if it's a super gusty one, to not turn over completely and not finish enough right. So that's why Undertaker's probably not making my bag for now, but that T-Bird definitely will, because I've also thrown a little bit more and in headwind, and it's just a great overstable option if you're starting to want to get some overstable discs in your driver slots. I would definitely suggest the T-Bird. Don't immediately go for the Firebird because that's what everyone has for their overstable drivers. The T-Bird is definitely something that's still overstable, still finished right consistently, but is definitely a lot more workable and still holds up in the headwind, which is what I was really excited to see. And that is definitely something that I will be able to put in between my stable straight flying fairway driver and my Firebird, where the Firebird is probably going to stay more of like a utility option when headwinds get super, super bad. But I will definitely enjoy having that T-Bird as somewhat of a bridge between that big gap between the two discs in that slot. For my distance drivers, the Astronaut was definitely what I've been looking for in a distance driver for a while now. I started off with the Thrasher because that was what was most highly recommended to me, and I didn't really like the Thrasher flight that much. For a slower arm speed, even if you get up to speed, it's still not going to turn as much as you want it to or think it will. Maybe I just didn't truly see how Thrashers fly, or maybe the Thrasher just needs a lot more arm speed than you think it does, but the Astronaut definitely fills that slot of just turning and holding the turn the entire way down. In the tailwind, it gains a little bit more stability to where it'll turn and then fade back a little bit, but in no wind, if you release it flat, it's going to start turning and hold it, and I could not recommend that disc more for beginners with slower arm speeds who just desperately want to start throwing distance drivers. Go for the Astronaut is the perfect option for you because you, at worst, you will get a pretty straight flight for a while and then fade if your arm speed's really that low, but it will definitely be the easiest distance driver for you to be able to turn and get full flights out of compared to most other distance drivers. For the Synapse, I definitely liked it for for me with my arm speed, it's definitely gonna be like my more straight to overstable slot and leaning more towards overstable, which I'm fine with currently because the only real reason that I needed something like that is for headwinds because everything else in my bag was just turning over on me too much and I just couldn't do anything or unless I put a really big amount of hyzer, which I just am not consistent enough with for putting that extreme amount of hyzer on the disc. So it definitely filled the slot I was looking for. It definitely holds up in the wind, and it's definitely less affected than any of my other distance drivers are, which is a really exciting thing to see. And I will definitely be pulling that out whenever I'm facing a decently big headwind and I need to get big distance. That's definitely my go-to disc. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for slower arm speed people unless you're looking for specifically a headwind fighter because it is pretty stable for what it is, even in its plastic. There are more overstable plastics that it's made with Thought Spaces plastic, but it definitely still holds straight and doesn't really turn much unless you put it on that anhyzer, and it'll hold that angle in a headwind, but it still will fight out and will come back right. So honestly, aside from probably that Sidewinder, I'm not disappointed with how I saw any of these discs fly. I'm really excited to throw all of them more, even my Undertaker. And for anyone who's looking for these discs and are on the fence about it, go for it. I don't see any big flaws with any of them. Again, aside from the Sidewinder, just because that doesn't feel like the flight you should want from that disc. I'm gonna continue this trend whenever I buy new discs. Comment, any suggestions you have for stuff like this, anything to make my video better, anything you might want to see, or even just other video ideas. Just let me know. I'm open to anything, and I also, again, just played in a tournament that I mentioned earlier. That was my first rated tournament ever, and unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any video of it. But if you want to see me talk about my first rated tournament experience, my first sanctioned tournament experience, and just see me like play a casual round while talking about it and not really focus on the round, but my tournament experience and see what to really expect for your first tournament experience. I have no problem with that. Just let me know if you want to see something like that. I'll totally be down to make it. I'm not really against talking about both my ups and downs with it. But otherwise, if you have any other suggestions, I'm open to anything. Just leave them down in the comments. I'm always reading them and looking for new ideas to bring to this channel for you guys to see on a more beginner noodle arm type player. But otherwise, give this a like and comment, and I'm excited to continue making more stuff for you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys next time.